We're so excited today to be joined by Terry Kale of DoProcess. Terry, let's kick things off today and bring everybody up to speed on DoProcess's training program.
Sure. So DoProcess is a software company based in Canada, and we have a couple different training programs. We have training for our internal staff as we are creating new applications and new programs, as well as training for all of our external customers across the country.
Cool. And can you tell us a little bit about some of the content that you guys serve to those audiences?
Yeah, we have a wide variety of content because we have so many different people and so many different ways that people learn. So we have a lot of micro-learning content through the LMS, through our university system. We have a lot of live webinars, recorded webinars. We have full end-to-end certification training processes, a wide variety. I can't speak today. Wide variety of stuff just to make sure that all of our different learners are getting the information they need in an effective way.
Very cool. And so, one of the things we want to focus on in today's conversation is how the global situation with COVID-19 has impacted your business. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Absolutely. It's actually created a lot more business for us and a lot more noise for us. We've had to, of course, internally change a lot of things around to have all of our developers, all of our support people, everyone now working from home and having to support that change. As well, all of our customers are going from working in a law office environment to all of a sudden having to learn themselves how to work from home, as well as learning new software programs and learning our program and all of those things. So there's been a lot of change in our world in the last little while.
I can imagine, actually, yeah. So have you found that you've had to reconsider your training delivery and content because of the situation too?
Not necessarily change. We were on a really good path already with our remote learning and all of that. So what we've really had to do is just make sure that we had more variety, more options, more assets for people to have and access when they need them, as opposed to having to call into our support lines with people working from home. They're working all different hours and we're not available to them.
Absolutely.
So in terms of how you've been able to adapt to the situation, both for your internal and your external audiences, what have been some of the things that you've learned over the past couple of months that you've kind of, taken as best practice and some of the things that maybe some of our listeners can take away from the episode and say, okay, maybe I could try this or try that?
I mean, one of the major things that we've started doing is a lot more live webinars. Scheduled. We'd had a lot before where we would schedule them one-on-one, but we're now scheduling a lot more group webinars for people to attend, and also making sure all of those are posted so that everybody can get access to them right away. We're also using a lot of the informal learning assets, quickly going in, making recordings of things and being able to post them informally so that they're available to people without us having to create entire courses around them is really helpful because they can go and find that information as quickly as they want, and it's always going to be there.
That was something I was going to ask you, actually. You said that you've had to create a lot more content. So how are you going about that? Are you relying on user-generated content, or are you getting your subject matter experts to start stepping in, or are you purchasing content? What does that look like for you?
It's a lot of our subject matter experts creating that content. Yeah.
Right.
We don't have a lot of users that are willing to generate content for us at this point.
Fair enough.
Yeah, a lot of that is because we are part of this is moving all of our customers from a program that they're used to using, that is a desktop program, over to a web-based program. So they're learning it themselves. So they're not comfortable generating the content for us at this time. But we do have 7 subject matter experts that are able to go in, and as we have frequently asked questions or the webinars that they're hosting, they have the same questions asked over and over there. We can quickly generate content for those things so that we can just direct them to that later.
That's fantastic.
Terry, one of the things that I kind of hear come up a lot, and I think it's fairly relevant in your situation, when you are making that type of a transition, how are you enabling individuals internally and externally to just know what they need to know in order to make the transition and know how to use the new system that's different from what they might have previously used?
Well, we have a 3-month transition schedule. So we start 3 months ahead of time, informing people when they're going to be making the transition and getting them ready with all of the things that they need. So checking their system to make sure that they meet all of our system requirements, signing up for a live training webinar, giving them access to different guides that they're going to need when they log in the first day. So we spend the first 3 months really getting them prepared for making a move like this. And then once they finally do get into our program, we have a ton of different things, including the LMS. We call this our university, where they have direct access, single sign-on from our application into that, as well as in-application help and tip that really directs them back to the university and the content on there.
That's great. And do you think that any of the changes that you've made because of the situation right now, whether that be working from home or anything else that you guys are doing, do you think that you'll be keeping any of those on the more permanent level?
I think it's too early to say for sure right now. We don't know where things are going to be going. Some of them definitely will be keeping. Like I said, we were already well positioned. We had 5 subject matter experts, so I don't see them going away. We will keep generating content and things like that. I assume some people will continue to work from home. There will be some people that they really want to go back into the office. So yeah, it's really hard to say where the organization will take it from there.
So going back to that sort of idea of the user-generated content, being that you are in a period of transition, this question probably is a little bit more forward-looking, but have you guys sort of started to give thought to how you will encourage that type of user behavior? I know a lot of the times it's sort of all in that idea of building that culture of learning and maybe setting certain expectations. But forward looking, what kind of processes are you thinking about putting in place, or sort of tools in order to encourage that type of activity?
Yeah, I mean, encouragement is really what we need to do. We try to keep it as interactive as possible. So we have frequently asked questions on there. We have an ideas portal on there to try to get people to continue engaging with that. As I said before, we have a lot of pop-ups right in our application that ask people to go back to the university and get more information about things. So I think when we get to a point where we're ready to open it up to user-generated content, hopefully everything that we're doing right now will have that engagement already, and people will be more willing to start posting their own things.
Yeah, it is that encouragement kind of level, right? Where you have to set a certain level of expectation, but also kind of enable them in order to do the things that they want to do. So, having now updated your delivery model and the sort of the preparation for the situation that you have now, is there anything else that you guys are kind of starting to try to put in place in order to get the right learning in front of the right people? Are there any other types of things that you can kind of speak to?
I think right now we're just trying to catch our breath.
Yeah.
Because things are moving so quickly, and we have changed a lot of things in a very short period of time. So I think at this point it's really we're trying to catch our breath and assess what we've done and what is working really well and how we can expand on that. Like the new webinars that we're hosting and the ones that we're starting to post on LinkedIn and stuff like that, how can we expand that into the summer months where we hadn't planned on doing a lot of these things and focus it on more areas of the application and not just the new functionality that we're currently doing it for and stuff like that? And can we do a series? Can we do this? Can we do that? So it's really, we're looking at those things as soon as we get a little bit of time to really focus on them.
Very cool.
Yeah, something I was going to ask around that as well is that have you noticed any significant changes in kind of like uptick or in engagement or anything since you guys have been at home? Has anything changed for you so far?
It's busier. It is so much busier with everybody at home.
Wow. Okay. Anything in particular that seems to, any kind of format that seems to be doing well other than your webinars, or is it all pretty across the board?
It's across the board. Yeah, we definitely we're seeing uptake in everything right now.
Fantastic.
I was just actually looking at the university yesterday and earlier today, and a lot more people have been in there in the last couple days. We also had a large release over the weekend, but a lot more people have been in.
That's great to know. Perfect.
Yeah.
Well, Terry, thank you so much for joining us on the podcast today. I hope that our listeners are able to walk away with a lot of useful information. And once again, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It was great.
Thanks, Terry.
Thanks.
For more information on what we've discussed today, including links to resources and downloadable assets, go to docebo.com/podcast. That's docebo.com/podcast. And subscribe to our newsletter.
You can also find us on iTunes, Spotify, and all other places where you get your podcasts by searching Learning Elevated. So don't forget to click subscribe so you know when we're disembarking on another floor.